Hi, I'm Chris Giles, the Technical Director of Havilah Resources, and today I'd like to give you a little background to the binding term sheet that we signed with Sandfire Resources. And according to the terms, Sandfire will provide the funds to advance the Kalkaroo Copper-Gold Project, and that's covered by these mining leases here, and the Kalkaroo project sits there, and also to establish an exploration strategic alliance in the Curnamona Province. That will cover all our exploration licenses. Kalkaroo sits there. It consists of two stages. Stage one is an 105 million upfront payment to Havilah, comprising 70% Sandfire scrip and 30% cash. And then Sandfire will proceed to complete the PFS within 18 to 24 months. And that will include a minimum commitment to 20,000 metres of infill and extension drilling at Kalkaroo. So be focused on extending the western eastern ends and also down dip, and also upgrading the resource from inferred to indicated and measured within the existing deposit. Stage 2 will take place upon completion of PFS and a further payment of 105 million by Sandfire to Havilah, and that will secure for Sandfire an 80% interest in Kalkaroo. And they will then proceed to a definitive feasibility study and ultimately development of the project after that. Havilah's 20% interest will be free carried to the mining investment decision, and thereafter Sandfire will arrange the project financing, with Havilah's share to be repaid from future project cash flows. And what this means is that Havilah's 20% Kalkaroo project interest will be fully funded with recourse only to the project itself. The second plank of the proposed transaction relates to Sandfire's recognition of the copper exploration potential of the Curnamona Province and their willingness to commit $30 million to regional exploration over a 24-month period under an exploration strategic alliance. This strategic alliance will cover most of Havilah's exploration licenses that lie north of the main barrier highway to Broken Hill, in an area that's very prospective for strata-bound copper deposits. Sandfire may earn an 80% interest in any discovery within a specific area on the ELs by funding additional drilling through to a maiden resource and ultimately through a PFS and development, with Havilah retaining 20% interest in any ultimate project development or mine on similar terms to Kalkaroo. And for the first time in Havilah's history, this funding will give us the drilling budget to adequately explore the many large targets that we've identified from our previous drilling in the area over a number of years. And as I've said many times before, there are very good prospects to find new standalone copper deposits in the region, Kalkaroo 2, 3 and 4, but at the very worst to find supplemental ore feed for a processing plant which we hope will be built one day at Kalkaroo. A little bit about Sandfire Resources, our partner company. They're a very successful Perth-based international copper miner. The latest annual copper production was in excess of 150,000 tonnes copper equivalent from two mines, Matsa in Spain and Mateo in Botswana. And they formerly very successfully operated the De Grussa copper mine in remote WA. And as a result of this experience, they have proven mine building and mine operating capability. And because of that, they're able to attract capital providers. And that's something which Havilah, because of small size, is not able to do. And very importantly for us, they're very keen to have a copper mine in South Australia. They like the jurisdiction, they like the geology, and they're very keen to develop a mine here. And the big question, of course, is how will Havilah shareholders benefit from this transaction? The most obvious thing is the immediate return that will be realised from the upfront non-refundable payment of $105 million. That's an unconditional payment, non-refundable, subject only to signing the definitive agreements and approval of that by our shareholders. Following that, Sandfire will fund the comprehensive new pre-feasibility study, and that study should add significant value to Kalkaroo. And the good thing for Havilah there is that we will share in this value uplift via a 20% free carried retained interest in Kalkaroo. Then following that, there will be additional return by the second stage payment of $105 million, provided Sandfire decide to continue on after PFS. And of course, while all that's happening, there'll be $30 million funding under the Exploration Strategic Alliance, which will allow us to greatly accelerate the regional exploration, where our aim is to make new discoveries and to delineate new resources. And as I mentioned, Sandfire is a proven copper mine developer and operator with a very competent and experienced management team that are certainly capable of building the Kalkaroo Copper-Gold Mine. And it satisfies Havilah's three long-term objectives. Firstly, to sell down equity in Kalkaroo, which allowing the cash proceeds to be returned in part to shareholders and in part to fund Havilah's ongoing activities. And secondly, fund completion of the PFS so that the full potential of Kalkaroo can be realised for the benefit of all stakeholders, and that includes the local community, the wider state, the traditional owners, and of course the investors in the project. And Havilah has always wanted to retain a meaningful stake in Kalkaroo because it is a great believer in the project and it's very keen to participate in the future upside. And the proposed terms allow for all of these objectives to be realised. And finally, Kalkaroo is a major asset of Havilah, and so therefore we think it's only right as directors that shareholders' approval should be sought for the transaction. And so we'll be putting this to a shareholder meeting, which we plan to be held before the end of January. So hopefully that answers some questions. There'll be a lot more to be said, I guess, over the next few weeks. Please look at our website and feel free to ask us any questions. But in the meantime, until then, all the best.